So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, great show, great show. Sarah Michelle Gellar, absolutely hot, so hot. You had James Marsters, great actor, went on to be one of the greatest Dragon Ball villains of all time. Zamasu, that's right, Zamasu, who wanted to eradicate everyone he didn't like. Great man. Um, but yeah, Disney's reboot. It's got Sarah Michelle Gellar working on it, which one would think it's great, but then it has someone working on it who worked on Eternals, and we know how the Eternals ended up. Now, you would think, Sarah Michelle Gellar was Buffy, so you would think obviously she knows this character inside and out. That doesn't mean a whole lot nowadays, though. Her politics could have changed. Her, maybe she sees this as an outlet to, portray certain, vampires as certain people. You don't know. And you have someone working on it, who worked on the Eternals, and you get a recipe for disaster. Not to mention, apparently, Joss Whedon is not going to be in there. The creator. So. Now, there are some shows that I would trust, if Psych. Psych is a perfect show for me to kind of compare to, not because it's similar, but because James Roday and Dule Hill know the characters and the show so well. If they were to bring back Psych, they could completely do it without Steve Franks. Because they know him, they know his vision, they know what Psych is about, they know the humor, and they know what the psychos want. So they would be able to bring the show back, even though they were actors and they're not the creators, but they know what the people want, they know what the show's about, what, how to make things flow. And if you've ever watched Psych, and you've seen, like me, you've seen every episode, there was really no bad episodes, there were just some less interesting than others, but they would be perfect to take over and do something like this, to make a reboot if they wanted to, because they know the show inside and out. Maybe something like Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan. If say they wanted to make a reboot, Bryan Cranston, would be able to kind of, because he knows obviously if it was to involve Walt and something like that, maybe in the past or something. He knows the show, he's inside and out. He played Walt, so he would know what Vince's vision was. So that's something I mean, if Bryan Cranston came out and said, yeah, we're gonna do a series, Vince Gilligan has no involvement, but it's gonna be me and whoever else, I would trust it, because I know Bryan Cranston is a great actor. I know he would do what he could to give the fans what they wanted when it comes to these characters that we know and love. But someone who worked on the Eternals, more than 20 more than 22 decades. Oh god, I'm old. Oh my god. More than 2 decades after Buffy the Vampire Slayer ended in its 7-season run, Disney is moving forward with a new chapter in the franchise. Hulu is nearing a pilot for the reboot, with Sarah Michelle Gellar expected to reprise her role as Buffy Summers, which, I mean, that's a good start. I mean, it's nice to know that she's going to be Buffy. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to bring in someone else, unless they're going to bring her in, kill her off somehow, and then make way for strong, powerful black lesbian or something like they always do. The Eternals director Chloe Zhao will direct the pilot, written by sisters Nora and Lily Zuckerman. Poker face. The new series is being developed in 20th television, now under the Disney umbrella. Along with Searchlight TV, notably absent from the project is Buffy's original creator, Joss Whedon, who was once considered integral to the franchise's identity. His absence raises serious questions about whether this reboot can capture the magic of the original, or if it will fall into the same trap as Disney's recent misfires, where female-led stories are reduced to one-dimensional girl boss caricatures rather than compelling layer stories. Yeah, and Buffy, amazing character, written by a man, adored by men and women because she was well written. One of the most beloved characters of the 90s. So, you can't really say, oh, you just hate women, because no, we love Buffy. Like, we loved Buffy because she was a good written character, but people can't do that now. Oh, that's just the intro. Joss Whedon influence on Buffy the Vampire Slayer cannot be overstated. He created the character, wrote and directed many of the show's best episodes, and even continued the story in comic book form after the series ended. However, in recent years, Whedon's name has been overshadowed by numerous allegations of misconduct. In 2020, Justice League actor Ray Fisher accused Whedon of abusive and unprofessional behavior on set, sparking further scrutiny. In 2021, Buffy actress Charisma Carpenter detailed how Whedon allegedly bullied her and mistreated her, calling her fat while she was pregnant, eventually writing her off the show after she had given birth. But wouldn't that make... You gave birth. Wouldn't you want time to, take care of your child? Other cast members, including Mel Trachtenberg, Michelle... Oh, nice. She's hot. Ember Benson supported Carpenter's claims, with Trachtenberg revealing there was even a rule on set to keep Whedon from being alone with her as a teenager. Go back up. Go back up. Gal Gadot later came forward, alleging Whedon had threatened her career while directing Justice League reshoots. Whedon's ex-wife has once described him as a hypocrite preaching feminist ideals when detailing his numerous reported affairs. Following his revelations, Whedon effectively disappeared from Hollywood. Now Disney's Buffy reboot is proceeding without him, but whether that will be a creative loss or a blessing remains to be seen. It's like having Roseanne without Roseanne. Despite Gellar's involvement, there's legitimate concern. Yeah, exactly. And again, this is fully understandable why people would be, oh, geez, I hope it's good. And not like, oh my God, yes, I'm going to mindlessly watch it. No, people have a right to be kind of wary and skeptical. After reboot comes out and it's all bad, yeah, you can't really say, oh, well, they're worried about nothing. There's nothing to worry about. You're just fear. No, people have a right to be worried, especially with the endless reboots that have come out and none of them really have been good. So give people a break. Everyone has has the ability and it has the right to be kind of wary of these reboots now, because most of the time they're just soulless remakes. Soulless reboots, soulless remakes, and they don't capture the charm or magic of the original. They're just, hey guys, you remember this character? And they just use it as a cash grab. So, what made the original special? Yeah, because it was. Recent Disney produced projects such as The Acolyte, The Marvels, and Echo have been criticized for prioritizing ideological messaging over strong character development and compelling storytelling. Instead of crafting nuanced female protagonists, many of these shows have leaned into bland, unrelatable, strong female character tropes that lack depth, struggle, or growth. Yeah, exactly. What made Buffy good was her growth. She wasn't a girl boss. She had her girl boss moments, but she was like a normal person like everyone else. She could be a girl boss, but she wasn't constantly putting men in their place and belittling them and emasculating them. She had no problem asking for help. She was a really, from the start of the series to the end of it, you see her growth. And that's what female characters are lacking now. They're lacking growth. They're all like Rey. You know, they go in and suddenly they're just good at everything. They don't need any training. They belittle and emasculate men simply for the purpose of emasculating them. And they're just one dimensional. So you need to have some kind of journey. You know, I bring up Rey because you look at Rey and you see like Anakin and Luke, where you saw them training. They had to train to get strong. They had to train to master the Force. But then Rey comes along and she's just, hey guys, look what I can do. And everyone's like, you're doing things that people like 40 years your senior can't even do. She's like, well, guess I'm special. You know, we saw the training of the other two, but then Rey comes along and is like, I'm a strong woman. I don't need that. And it's just unrelatable. So, like I said, you look at Buffy from the start of the series to the end, the character growth, not just of her, but everyone else, you know, that's another thing people are afraid of. It's like one-dimensional characters. People like seeing characters grow. You know, and I brought up with Jay Marsters with Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, another, even though it's animated, perfect example. Look at Vegeta. Perfect example of character growth. The guy comes to Earth wanting to blow the fuck out of it, or blow it the fuck up, rather. He's like, oh, you know, and then he kind of doesn't really connect with Goku, but, you know, Goku lets him live. You know, you go to Namek, and then they kind of form this weird partnership. Everyone gets transported to Earth. He meets Bulma, and then suddenly that change starts to happen, where he's like, okay, well, maybe I'll hang around her for a little while. And then he realizes he actually legitimately loves this person. Not because she's strong physically, but because she doesn't tolerate his bullshit. And that's what Saiyan men like. They like strong women. Bulma is mentally, you know, intellectually strong. So he goes from, you know, wanting to blow up the Earth to meeting a girl on Earth and falling in love with her while still kind of distant. But then over the years, you watch him, he has a son. You see him wanting to protect his son, you know, and suddenly he's sacrificing his own life to protect not only his family, but the planet. The very same planet he was wanting to destroy in the beginning, he's now sacrificing his life to protect. So just from the beginning of the series to the Boo saga, just this huge growth of character, and it's so satisfying to watch him go through that evolution. You know, to see from a villain to this hero who's fighting alongside Goku and everyone else to protect not only the planet but the universe. So same thing with Buffy. You know, you have your normal characters, your heroes who have their growth. You have the villains who have their growth, whereas like, oh, they start out as a villain, but then they actually come around and see the light and they're actually good now. And, you know, just to see, that's what people like. People love that kind of character. But nowadays, that's doesn't even seem to be an option anymore. The original Buffy was a standout because it was balanced action, horror, humor, and character-driven drama. Yeah, Buffy Summers was a powerful protagonist, but she was also deeply flawed. Exactly. Facing real challenges, making mistakes, and grow. Exactly. She wasn't like in the first episode. It's not like she was just like I said, Rey. She's not just coming out and just doing everything to the best of her ability. No, she makes mistakes. She fucks up. There are consequences that happen because of her mistakes. People get hurt because of her mistakes, and she has to deal with that. She has to come to that realization that, oh, hey, maybe I was a little reckless. Maybe I didn't think that through. There's real consequences. But nowadays, it's like the girls are like, oh, no, they're perfect at everything they do. There's no consequences for them being reckless because they can do it all. Without Whedon's knack for snappy dialogue, layered storytelling, and well-crafted story arcs, there's a risk that this reboot could fall into the same uninspired territory that has plunged many recent female-led Disney properties. That's not to say that Whedon should be involved. Rather, it poses a question: should this Buffy reboot even happen? No. Not everything needs a reboot. Adding to the concern is the choice of director Chloe Zhao, who won an Oscar for No Man Land. Her biggest foray into franchise filmmaking was Eternals, one of Marvel's first major bombs. Effort, whom Disney archetype, predictable girl boss archetype, effortlessly powerful, emotionally hollow, and completely unrelatable. Yeah. Given that Buffy was originally defined in its sharp writing, character-driven conflicts, and engaging balance of humor and darkness, Zhao's involvement raises red flags about whether this reboot will end up as another lifeless Disney product with little respect for what made the series special in the first place. Uh-huh. What? Dolly Parton? The legendary singer's company, Sandollar, was a producer on the original Buffy, and oh, well, I mean, I knew that, but is involved in the reboot? Huh. Interesting. The biggest hurdle for this reboot is convincing longtime fans that it can capture the essence of Buffy without the person who made it what it was. Whedon's personal controversies aside, his influence on the show's success is just as significant. That's caused many to say that given his pariah status on Hollywood, perhaps it would be better to simply not play with his IP at all. They can't help themselves. Yeah. With respect. Soulless corporate product. Trading nostalgia for another empty empowered protagonist. Again, it says that it's like, oh yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar is gonna be back as Buffy, but then like she gets killed off in the first episode, or she like steps aside in the first episode and lets a strong, powerful black lesbian take charge. You know, it's people have the right to be kind of this will be glorious. All the feminists who love the original Buffy will be upset, and Joss will see his creation updated for even more modern audiences without his input. He completely deserved the cancellation for being a male feminist. She has female privilege and privilege of color. They'll slap her name on things. As a result, they'll edit down what she wants to do. For example, they won't let her destroy the Earth and Eternals like she wanted to. But yeah, the original, like, go back and watch Buffy. The characters were very complex. They were very well layered. Buffy herself, multiple layers from the start to the end of the series. You know, like I said, from the beginning of the series, she doesn't just come in like, and she's not kicking ass and taking names here. She makes mistakes, you know, and even within a few episodes, you know, she still sometimes makes the same mistake. But she's a person who's open and can be vulnerable and isn't afraid to ask for help, and her character growth. And then you have, like I said, you have characters who, you know, like, oh, we're bad guys now, we're good guys now because we see what we're doing is wrong. And, you know, you have, you know, any kind of death of a character is impactful, you know, and that's what it should be. But now they're just like, oh, hey, this chick can do everything. And even if her friends die, she'll just bring them back to life somehow because she's perfect. And she'll just find some magical artifact to do it. You know, it's just crap writing. So great, Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be Buffy, but then, like, again, they're going to pull like a Scott Pilgrim or He-Man and then kill him off in like the first episode. So, although because she's a female, they might just have her step aside and be like, you are Buffy now. Or something, I don't know. I just have a feeling that she's not going to be Buffy for long. But depending on how long this reboot goes for. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Let me know if you watched Buffy back in the day, your favorite moment and what made that moment good for you. Like, what made you be like, oh God, you know, like what was for you the pinnacle of writing in the show? Like that, there's always a one moment that says, you know what, this is why I love that show. This is why I'm watching that show. So whether it be a character moment or, you know, a death or whatever, what moment in the show really made you say, this is amazing writing? And what do you hope to see in this reboot? But anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.